On launch day I grabbed myself a copy of Sonic Mania after watching several reviews which highly praised the game. As an avid vintage gamer, I was desperate to try this retro-inspired game out for myself. In all honesty, despite all of the praise heaped on the game, I was still half expecting to hate the game, as I often find my views on games often completely contrarian in comparison to that of the masses. On a regular basis I find myself hating titles that make the internet explode with joy. A recent example was how lackluster I found Breath of the Wild to be, and how it lacked everything I loved in a Zelda game. Sonic Mania on the other hand I have thoroughly enjoyed, and I am not even a super fan of the Mega Drive titles either. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you were expecting me to release a Sonic Mania is overrated video, then sadly you were mistaken with that one, as for one rare occasion I love the same new release as everybody bloody else. To be fair though, with my experiences with Sonic Mania, there was a little more to it than expecting not to like it simply because everyone else loved it. The glaringly obvious reason why I was half expecting this to be a bad game was due to Sega's track record of releasing absolutely horrible Sonic games. Sonic started out as a simple yet adequate platforming game, which focused heavily on the gameplay and offered little in the way of story. As soon as the series eventually made the inevitable jump to 3D though, everything changed. In the majority of Sonic games, the gameplay took a massive step back, and in its place made way for horrible game physics, poor level design, and glitchy gameplay. Most notable of all though in the Sonic franchise was the introduction of ridiculously contrived storylines in each entry, which paved the way to introduce seemingly hundreds of two-dimensional, poorly thought out, ridiculously forgettable characters. The games are also full of completely nonsensical changes, for example giving Sonic a massive sword or giving him the ability to transform into a werehog, and most noticeable and cringy of all, giving Sonic the Hedgehog a human girlfriend. All this balderdash turned the original Sonic fanbase away from the series, as Sega seemed determined to defecate on everything Sonic fans had held sacred. All the people really wanted was a simple game, heavily inspired by the originals. Eventually, due to Sega's collaboration with the Sonic homebrew community, Sonic Mania eventually delivered that. But also simultaneously, Sega's main Sonic project they have been working on is Sonic Forces, which looks like it's going to be treading the same creepy turf as most other 3D Sonic games in the series. So yes, overall all we have really ever wanted from Sonic is simple fun gameplay. I guess in order to appreciate Sega's modern take on Sonic, you need more of, how shall I say, an acquired gaming taste. Today we shall be exploring the odd yet fascinating world of modern Sonic the Hedgehog fandom, one of the many strange and bizarre elements of the internet in 2017. It's difficult to even work out where to start with this one, so I suppose the best way to tackle this topic is to look at what drew my attention to the subject in the first place. Over the years on Twitter and Facebook groups, I have seen memes and pictures labelled as bad Sonic fan art. The imagery that jumped out to me the most at first was a character known as Sanic. Sanic is obviously a deliberate misspelling of Sonic. A series of fan artwork and game modifications have been made featuring the poorly illustrated version of this video game character. Sanic is also commonly associated with another poorly drawn illustration of Sonic titled Gotta Go Fast. Like with any popular meme, I loved the level of dedication presented when it came to all things Sonic Hedgehog. Fans even went to the effort of making Sonic amiibos. Sonic himself originally appeared in a video uploaded by Onyx Heart titled How to Draw Sonic Hedgehog. Personally at the time, I just made the assumption that a badly drawn Sonic was just a hilarious joke that had manifested off the back of how terrible recent Sonic games have become. Eventually though, I learned there was a lot more to it than that. Apart from the badly drawn Sonic memes, another strange trope I noticed from the fanbase was all of the odd deviant art posted all over the internet. For those who have been living under a rock, DeviantArt is an online artwork, videography and photography community who have become somewhat infamous over the years for the amount of odd and sometimes pornographic imagery they post online. The amount of this sort of imagery featuring Sonic the Hedgehog and his hundreds of boring, characterless anthropomorphic friends is rather disturbing. The odd imagery online of Sonic the Hedgehog eventually led me to the discovery of a strange subculture known as the furry fandom. These people, if that is a politically correct term to use regarding them, have an unhealthy interest in fictional anthropomorphic animal characters with human personalities and characteristics. I could make a whole video in its own right on this subculture, so I am not going to dig too deep at present regarding this one. However, to give you a quick summary, these people dress up as animals and indulge in roleplay, which involves petting, hugging and scritching, which is apparently light scratching and grooming. This is allegedly common between friends at social gatherings. There are also many sexual aspects within furry fandom, which include erotic art and furry themed cybersex, which is how our poor childhood favourite links into this strange community. Sexual attraction to furry characters overall though is also a polarising issue, met with vehement opposition even within the furry fandom itself, with many stating they have a non-sexual interest in the furry lifestyle. A lot of this Sonic art, if we can even call it that, is too disgustingly graphic to even feature on this channel. Overall though, it is extremely clear that the furry community on the whole are massive fans of Sonic the Hedgehog, along with his universe of characters. They just appear to appreciate Sonic drastically different from the rest of us though. Okay, so the next odd thing I noticed regarding Sonic the Hedgehog online was the large amount of memes featuring Sonic the Hedgehog which made references to autism. My first thoughts regarding these images was that they must be just extensions of everything else relating to Sonic the Hedgehog. Basically, I made the assumption that the jokes were supposed to insinuate that all furries were autistic, or that the only way you could get enjoyment out of the modern Sonic games was if you had an autistic obsession with the franchise and overlooked the series' shortcomings. So yes, due to all of these odd tropes, I eventually dug deeper and I went down a rabbit hole and discovered that Sonic the Hedgehog, pornography and autism were all intrinsically linked into one series of events that, due to the butterfly effect, would have arguably sparked all of these things to happen down the line. Many years before Sanic became a viral star on the internet, the crudely drawn webcomic book Sonichu was unleashed on the world. As the name suggests, Sonichu was an amalgamation between Sonic the Hedgehog and the Pokemon series, created by Christian Weston Chandler. Christian Weston Chandler describes himself as a high-functioning autistic person who was heavily emotionally damaged. An artistic inspiration lost with paranoia, deception, blackmail and plain hurtful words from those bottom-feeding trolls, he is the hand-drawing original creator of Sonichu, Rosatru and the city of Quickville, Virginia, USA. The story of Chris Chan is like nothing I have ever seen. I am not going to cover Christian's entire story in this video, as other channels have already done an amazing job doing so. If you have yet to see it, check out Suchamo's 1 hour and 10 minute long epic documentary on the man, chronologing all of the events that have led to Chris's internet fame. To give you a quick summary of the story though, according to the wiki website dedicated to the man, Chris Chan became internet famous when he caught the attention of 4chan and Encyclopedia Dramatica. Initial fascination was spurred on by his signature homemade Sonichu medallion, his childlike artwork featuring his unoriginal Sonic recolor, and his history of loitering in public places while literally holding up a sign asking women to talk to him. His reaction to the ensuing mockery led to a spiral of ever greater scrutiny of his life, revealing more disturbing facts about him. So, as illustrated by the information I have just presented you with, it appears that Chris's story is the very reason that both crudely drawn and autistic Sonic memes have come to fruition and rose to popularity online. Without Chris and Sonichu, there is a good chance that Sanic would never have even existed. So, that covers two pillars of strange fandom in one explanation. But if you have not seen the detailed videos on Chris's story, you may be thinking, how does Sonic pornography tie into all of this? Well, Chris himself online was extremely homophobic, so a good way that the internet trolling community managed to get to him was to simply redraw his characters committing homosexual acts on each other. To once again quote the wiki, by late 2008 trolls controlled many aspects of Chris's life by posing as dedicated fans, sweethearts, cartoonish enemies and prospective business partners. Chris's ego and naivety readily embraced this brave new world in which every woman wanted to sleep with him and every man was either trying to help him sell Sonichu products or steal the franchise for their own nefarious goals. Following his disastrous failure to woo a real girl in March 2010, Chris began to realise what anyone else would have figured out a long time ago. His toxic internet presence is having a detrimental effect upon his real life, and each new video he creates only makes it worse. This realisation appears to have led him to reduce his online presence and to stop donning Sonichu medallions. One of Chris's most notable acts happened many years later though, when he assaulted an employee in an outing to GameStop on Boxing Day. He assaulted the store's assistant manager who was calling security by spraying him with mace. This event was apparently triggered due to Chris's outrage about the colour of Sonic's arms being changed in the game Sonic Boom. Internet trolls were not the only ones who made fun of this series of events though. Sega themselves even referenced it, parodying Chris as a character and Sonic superfan within the Sonic Boom Kids show. This episode, entitled Sonic's Biggest Fan, features a nerdy character named Mark who obsesses over Sonic. Within this episode, Mark paints a picture of Sonic, but upon showing Sonic the painting, he informs him that he hasn't got round to painting the arms blue yet. Eventually, so that Mark can spend more time with Sonic, he crashes the car he is driving so that he can spend more time with an injured Sonic. Over this period, Mark shows Sonic the fan fiction he has made, but also makes a point that he can't show him certain images because they are not family friendly, indicating the pornographic part of this whole fiasco. I find it utterly bizarre that Sega chose to poke fun at the series of Chris Chan events within their own children's show. However, it is extremely interesting that they paid homage to it nonetheless. Sega are not the only ones parodying Chris's life in cartoon form though. There is a Sonichu animated series too, which I will show you the intro of.
Fucking Christian Western Chandler is the mayor of Quickville. He's got a lot of things to do, got a lot of China to steal. Mary Lee Walsh is always waiting to ruin his fun with the chaotic combo at his side. The day is already won. Welcome to Quickville. We invite you to swallow some sperm. Chris is straight, we guarantee. There are no girls allowed unless your boyfriend free. He doesn't like the blackies, and God says gay should die. And if you see him sitting at a table, well, you better leave his side. Sonichu!
We are just scratching the surface really with all this Chris Chan related media. There is also another cartoon series entitled Asperchu.
7 Chaos Pickles, evil forces are pursued by a hero with a medallion and his friends Max and Jim and Two. A dark and desperate creature in seclusion it resides, and the evil robot Metal Chew who's collecting pickles and taking lives. But is a hero whose heroic deeds are recognized. He brings all of the trolls attacking Quickville down to their demise. This gem would lead you to believe he is just a parody. However, he's not clever, he's original, we guarantee. Asperchu, he wields the powers of God Jesus. Asperchu, he's one true hero here to save the day. Asperchu, 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 he's gonna save
From all of the memes and odd imagery etc, I must say I was already fascinated with the Sonic fanbase, hence the reason I chose to create this video. I cannot say though, upon embarking on this research, that I was expecting to discover anything quite as interesting as the story of Christian Weston Chandler. The events chronicling Chris's life pretty much marry up everything strange I found about the Sonic fanbase, nicely into one cohesive narrative. I am quite shocked with myself that I've only discovered Chris Chan's story in the last few days, but it certainly makes all the Sonic fan art that is around today make a lot more sense. To me, Chris Chan is now the Leonardo da Vinci of bad Sonic fan art, and if it wasn't for him and his misguided adventures, I doubt this art form would be so prevalent today. Whether the art is drawn today by strange superfans or simply by trolls mocking those superfans, this whole movement looks to have been triggered by one series of events. The internet is sometimes a dark and peculiar place, but at least it is interesting. Thank you for joining me in taking a glimpse into the strange world of the Sonic the Hedgehog fans. If my video is the first you have seen covering this subject, then I urge you to watch some of the in-depth videos that focus specifically in on Chris Chan. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for regular content on my channel. Shout outs to Shizuka Kabayashi, Retail Archaeology, Andrew Bazansky, Peter Dawn, Mike Frost, Edward O'Reilly, Atanas Garcia and all of my other patrons. Thank you all for your support. Yeah! If you want to be added to this prestigious list, then check out my Patreon page. Ta-ta and farewell.